Last month, a 3-judge panel ruled that Pearson's argument against the dry cleaner defied logic.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 ridiculous lawsuits.
Are you a little bit
crazy?
Yeah.
Yes. No, I went to the shrink before I go to court.
For this list, we're looking at the most outrageous and unbelievable lawsuits to ever hit the courts. Which of these do you think is the most ridiculous? Let us know in the comments below. Number 20. Appendage in the chili. You all know the story. Back in 2005, Ana Ayala allegedly found a severed fingertip in her bowl of Wendy's chili.
The woman who says she found a finger in her bowl of chili at a Wendy's in San Jose, California.
It became the media story of the decade, and it understandably resulted in a slew of bad publicity against the fast food giant.
Just when we find that there's something that looks like a nail.
When Ayala sued the restaurant, the public watched with bated breath, probably while eating McDonald's or some other competitor. Of course, it was all nonsense. Ayala had gotten the fingertip from an associate of her husband, who had lost it in a workplace accident. She then placed it in her chili in order to scam Wendy's. She subsequently pleaded guilty to grand larceny and served 4 years in prison.
Later, it turned out she had planted the finger herself. She went to prison for 4 years.
Number 19. Uber ruined my marriage. Ah, the joys of modern technology. An unnamed Frenchman sued Uber in 2017, claiming that the app had caused his divorce. As the story goes, the man had once ordered an Uber using his wife's iPhone. However, a bug in the app prevented the session from closing properly. His wife then received notifications of all his future Uber rides, and both the locations and times aroused her suspicion. She then issued a divorce, believing that her husband was cheating. The man, in turn, blamed Uber for his failed marriage and sued the company for nearly $50 million. Unfortunately, the outcome of the lawsuit is currently unknown. Number 18. My iced coffee doesn't measure up. Alexander Farzesh had an interesting accusation. According to him, Starbucks was guilty of both false advertising and breach of warranty by using less liquid in their drinks than advertised. For example, a 12-ounce iced coffee doesn't actually contain 12 ounces of coffee, owing to the inclusion of the ice. The case was almost immediately thrown out by the court, claiming that it fell under, quote, reasonable consumer standards. In other words, those purchasing an iced coffee would understand that the inclusion of ice would decrease the amount of liquid.
Add your ice and enjoy it quickly before all the ice melts.
Or, as Judge Percy Anderson hilariously summarized, quote, as young children learn, they can increase the amount of beverage they receive if they order no ice.
It'll melt a little bit and dilute the coffee back to regular strength.
Number 17. The movie texter. There are dates from hell, and then there's this. Brandon Vesmar and an unnamed woman went to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and the woman began texting her upset friend who was having a fight with her boyfriend.
Listen, your texting is driving me a little nuts. And she said, well, I can't not text my friend.
The incensed Vesmar asked her to take it outside, so she did, and then never returned. He then sued his date for the price of the ticket, $17.31, with his lawsuit petition claiming that, quote, the defendant's behavior was a threat to civilized society.
Here's the paperwork Brandon just filed in small claims court, demanding $17.31.
In turn, the woman claimed she needed to remove herself from the situation for her own safety. She also planned to file a restraining order against Vesmar, as he had contacted her younger sister demanding his money.
It's settled, man. Time to withdraw this court case. Absolutely. It's settled.
Number 16. The Pepsi Points Case. In the late 90s, Pepsi launched a points-based rewards program. Basically, buyers would accumulate points by purchasing Pepsi products, and in turn, could spend the points on merchandise. The accompanying commercial saw a teenager getting into a Harrier jet, accompanied by the words, Harrier Fighter, 7 million Pepsi points.
Now, the more Pepsi you drink, the more great stuff you're going to get.
It sure beats the boss.
As per contest rules, people could also pay 10 cents per point. So, John Leonard sent a check for $700,000, thinking he had just scored an incredible discount on a $30+ million jet.
Leonard got the $700,000 from 5 well-off investors, sent Pepsi 15 labels and a check, and waited for his jet.
Yet Pepsi didn't give him one, so Leonard sued. Pepsi claimed that it was a joke, and the court agreed, stating that the commercial was, quote, clearly not serious. It was deemed an illegitimate offer made in jest, and Leonard's case was dismissed.
In case anyone else is thinking of ordering a jet, Pepsi has now raised the number of points needed.
Number 15. A crafty prisoner sues himself. When a judge calls something, quote, an innovative approach to civil rights litigation, you know it has to be good. A man named Robert Lee Brock was spending over 20 years in prison for grand larceny when he had a brilliant idea. He would sue himself for a violation of his civil rights and make the state pay for it. Brock drank alcohol and in turn sued himself for $5 million for violating his religious beliefs. He hilariously requested that the state of Virginia float the bill, arguing that he was a ward of the state and couldn't make money while in prison. Judge Rebecca Beach Smith commended Brock's creativity, but instantly dismissed the case, calling it, quote, ludicrous. Number 14. Where is my job? The job market is tough. Trina Thompson discovered that firsthand. Thompson earned her bachelor's in information technology from New York's Monroe College. However, she was unable to find a job between her graduation in April and the following August. As a result, she sued the college, claiming that its career counselors were doing a bad job of finding her gainful employment. Thompson believed that graduating from the school was a waste of time and demanded a refund of her $70,000 tuition. Unfortunately, that's not how college works, and Monroe answered back by stating, quote, it is clear that no college can guarantee employment. Number 13. Empty air. Buying snacks can be frustrating. You spend the money, eagerly tear into the packaging, and find a lot of empty air within the box. You then think to yourself, why don't they just fill this space with more candy? Well, that's exactly what Biola Daniel thought when she sued Tootsie Roll Industries for underpackaging their Junior Mints boxes.
So she claims the manufacturer of Junior Mints intentionally deceived people.
According to her lawsuit, Junior Mints contain far more empty space than competing candy brands, and consumers are getting ripped off.
According to the 36-page lawsuit, she claims Junior Mints has 40% slack fill.
U.S. District Judge Naomi Reese Buchwald threw the case out on reasonable consumer grounds, hilariously stating that the lawsuit, quote, attributes to consumers a level of stupidity that the court cannot countenance. Number 12. A legally binding verbal contract. Where to even start with this one? While literally fleeing a murder charge, Jesse Dimmick broke into the Kansas home of Jared and Lindsay Rowley and held them captive.
The driver was Jesse Dimmick. Jared and Lindsay didn't know Dimmick was a fugitive wanted for murder in Colorado.
He allegedly offered them money in exchange for protection, and they agreed. However, the couple escaped once Dimmick fell asleep, and the fugitive was subsequently arrested. The Rowleys then sued Dimmick for emotional distress, and Dimmick countersued. According to him, the Rowleys had accepted his deal for money and had therefore broken a legally binding oral contract. Not only was Dimmick's lawsuit thrown out, he was also sent to prison for 10 years.
It changed me 100%. You know, the way I look at life, the way I take each day.
Number 11. Joseph versus NASA.
This is a very strange pair of images.
In January of 2014, astronomers revealed an interesting photo of the Martian surface, showing a strange rock that had not been present in the same spot 12 days earlier.
In the court papers, Joseph suggests that the rock may not be a rock at all, but rather a fungus-like organism.
It naturally brought considerable attention, before scientists deduced that it was likely knocked into place by the rover's wheels.
The most likely scenario, just uphill from this location, as we were driving on some bedrock, the Opportunity rover did a kind of a pirouette.
Undeterred, Californian Ron Joseph filed legal papers, claiming that NASA wasn't doing enough to study what he believed to be a living organism and a sign of life on Mars.
Is there life on Mars?
We're excited about such a prospect too, but this one's just a rock, dude.
I do like the way it sounds. I mean, I like it a lot.
Number 10. What a jackass.
Welcome to Jackass!
We feel bad for poor Jackass. Born Bob Kraft, this Montana man changed his name to Jackass in the late 90s following the death of his brother. Why? To help promote safe and sober driving, of course. He began running a non-profit with the slogan, "Be a smartass, not a dumbass." But tragic backstory and good intentions aside, his legal case was quite ridiculous. Jackass ended up suing Viacom over their famous Jackass brand, claiming that the name had plagiarized his own and that the crude franchise was defaming his character. To make the story that much more tragic, Jackass took his own life shortly after launching the lawsuit. Number 9. Lucas v. McDonald's.
He says he suffered undue mental anguish after he was given only one napkin when he visited the burger chain.
While you've all probably heard the story about the woman who sued McDonald's for serving their coffee too hot and her suffering of third-degree burns, at least that one had legal grounds.
We bought a product, it was used as intended, it was unreasonably hot and therefore unreasonably dangerous, and those were the essential facts.
Nothing trumps Webster Lucas's lawsuit, though, in which he sued McDonald's for $1.5 million after a confrontation stemming from a request for more napkins.
Is there a problem?
Yes, I need more napkins.
Use your sleeve.
What did you say?
Use one of their sleeves. I don't care.
Instead of giving him more napkins, the manager allegedly resorted to racist remarks and cursed at Lucas instead, which left the customer distressed, unable to work, and demanding a cool $1.5 million. It's not that being discriminated against isn't legitimately distressing, but the thing is, Mr. Lucas seems to have a history of suing fast food joints.
I'm gonna sue! That'll teach you. Lawyer up, blue boy, cause I'm gonna sue you all!
He's reportedly sued Jack in the Box twice, and also brought suits against Walmart and Denny's. Number 8. An age by any number. Shakespeare once wrote, "A rose by any other name would smell as sweet." Does that work for ages too? A Dutchman named Emile Ratelband hoped to legally change his birthday from 1949 to 1969, quote, officially making him 20 years younger.
So you want
to identify 17 years?
Yeah, because, I feel like that.
He wished to change his birthday to avoid age-based discrimination and to find more success on Tinder.
No woman's going to believe you're 42, Emile, are they?
Why not? Are you jealous?
Crossing the boundary from hilarious to offensive, Ratelband compared the situation to being transgender, asking, quote, "We live in a time when you can change your name and change your gender. Why can't I decide my own age?" The court eventually dismissed the lawsuit, stating, in more official terms, that people can't just change their ages all willy-nilly.
It's fantastic what happened. That I lost. I lost the battle, but I'm going to win the war.
Number 7. The Recording Industry Association of America v. Walton.
We must promise them that new technology and distribution will pay them fairly.
The RIAA is known for being bloodthirsty creatures, and not even the deceased can escape its wrath.
According to the RIAA, music piracy is the biggest reason revenue in that industry has declined from over $14 billion back in '99 to less than half that now.
Proof? They attempted to sue an 83-year-old woman for making 700 songs publicly available on the internet. Unfortunately for all involved, they sued her following her death. And the filed lawsuit came after her daughter responded to a warning letter with a copy of her mother's death certificate to RIAA lawyers. Sorry guys, but we're pretty sure you're not winning this one.
The Record Industry Association of America needs a guide dog. They cannot tell the difference between a pirate and someone who's operating a lemonade stand.
Number 6. Heckard v. Jordan and Heckard v. Nike.
Air Jordan from Nike.
In this case of celebrity lookalike versus a celebrity, and the company that made said celebrity famous, an African-American man from Portland, Oregon named Alan Heckard sued both NBA star Michael Jordan and Nike for $416 million each. Why? Heckard was tired of all the emotional pain and injury he was supposedly suffering from being constantly mistaken for the ex-Chicago Bulls player whenever he was out in public.
Well, their things could be worse.
Yeah, if I'm playing basketball and people think I'm Michael Jordan, that seems like it's pretty awesome. I don't need $832 million to go along with that,
Their
do I?
expectations really go up, though.
Though they differ in age and height, Heckard and Jordan both have shaved heads and wear a single earring. Yet one's a famous athlete and the other's an airport shuttle driver with a criminal record. In the end, Heckard dropped the suit before going to trial, and without being given any money.
Did everyone get mad at you?
No. Worse. Everyone was real nice about it.
Number 5. Overton v. Anheuser-Busch.
Guys, hurry up! The magic fridge is back!
Beer is certainly delicious, there's no denying that. But we'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who believes that it has magical powers. However, Richard Overton was certainly fooled, as he sued Bud Light in 1991 for their false and misleading advertisements.
Thrust your pelvis to the sky and exhale, release into the stretch. Good.
In their commercials, male drinkers are often in tropical settings surrounded by gorgeous women. Overton's lawsuit concluded that those particular representations of life after drinking the beer were, quote, untrue, and therefore, that would fall under false advertisement.
I'll be right back.
So how do you feel about back hair?
His case was suitably dismissed. Interestingly, Overton doesn't drink alcohol. He filed the lawsuit when his young kids became entranced by Bud's spokesdog, Spuds McKenzie.
But you really cooking now.
All right. Number 4, the $54 million pants. You would think an administrative law judge would know the difference between legitimate and frivolous lawsuits. Judge Roy Pearson sued the owners of a Washington dry cleaners for supposedly losing his pants.
A Korean immigrant family, the Chungs, who own a Washington, D.C. dry cleaners, have spent the last 2 years fighting a customer, a judge.
According to Pearson, the cleaners had violated their, quote, satisfaction guaranteed sign and caused him mental anguish. Despite the owners agreeing to $12,000 in legal compensation, Pearson rejected their offer and sued for over $50 million.
What could possibly be logical about a $54 million pair of pants?
And sued for over $50 million. He should have taken that $12,000. Instead, he lost both the case and his job, as no one wanted to work with a judge who frivolously sued people over pants. The owners of the dry cleaners later recovered their exorbitant legal costs through fundraising.
You had plenty of opportunities to resolve this. They even gave you your pants back, but you wouldn't take it, and so you get nothing.
Number 3, Culkin v. Nolan and Warner Brothers. Helped by its grim tone and dark subject matter, The Dark Knight became an immensely popular film in 2008.
I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
All this success became an issue for the mayor of a city called Batman, located in Turkey. In his bat-crap crazy lawsuit, Hussein Kalkan made plans to sue Warner Brothers and director Christopher Nolan for using the name Batman without the city's permission, as if the capital of Batman province owned the rights to the name. To make matters worse, Kalkan even blamed the movie for a rise of unsolved murders and suicides in the area, claiming that The Dark Knight has made a negative psychological impact on the city's residents.
No more dead cops!
The suit doesn't appear to have ever seen its day in court, and Kalkan was also sentenced to jail for promoting terrorism the same year.
This town deserves a better class of criminal, and I'm gonna give it to him.
Number 2, Rosenberg v. Harwood and Google.
Learn to get directions with the new Google Maps.
Google Maps is an astounding creation, as it gives directions to almost anywhere in the world. However, the web mapping service doesn't account for cars. Lauren Rosenberg was following Google's walking directions, which led her onto a busy highway with no sidewalks. She intelligently kept right on following the highway and was subsequently hit by a car. As a result, she sued both Google and the driver, Patrick Harwood, for $100,000. But her claims were ultimately dismissed. We don't think Google needs the explicit statement of please don't walk into moving cars on their directions, but apparently they do. Oh, and by the way, it was nighttime when Rosenberg ventured out onto this highway. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, watch the sizzle.
Applebee's new sizzling entrees aren't just a show.
A man named Hiram Jimenez visited a New Jersey Applebee's with his brother and ordered some delicious steak fajitas. After receiving the literally sizzling hot plate, Jimenez bowed over his food to pray. And that's when some grease popped and hit him in the face. This resulted in a further comedy of errors, which saw Jimenez knocking the hot food into his lap, losing his glasses, and bumping his elbow on the table. Despite suffering no serious injuries, Jimenez sued the restaurant for negligence. The court threw his case out, claiming that Jimenez shouldn't have placed his face directly over sizzling food.
The court saying that a New Jersey man can't sue Applebee's after he burned himself over a plate of fajitas.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.